Hi, everyone, and welcome to Cedar Focus. Today, we're speaking to Colin, who is the Deputy Service Manager in Floating Support. Lovely to have you here, Colin.
Hey, nice, thanks.
Yeah, not too bad. Great. And thanks for joining us. So, basically, we just want to chat a bit about the service. And just as by ways of introducing you, I was just wondering, how did your role within Cedar begin?
I started working for Cedar back in 2012, so it's been a good few years now. I became a support worker in our living option services back in 2012, providing care and support to individuals in that supported living scheme there in South Belfast. I was there for a good few years and I worked there, became a practice leader or a team leader as they're called now. And then I worked across Hillmount and Ardkeen. And from there, I moved across then to float support in 2016, where I worked in float support in Belfast and Lisburn, where we supported people with brain injuries, physical disabilities, sensory disabilities, and learning disabilities. Then in 2020, we got commissioned to start an older people's floating support service, and I was able to then become the deputy service manager for that service back in 2020. And that was obviously a very difficult time in 2020 because that's whenever COVID came about. But how, with the support of the team that we had and the service manager for food support, we were able to get that service up and going and managed to get that to start and get it covering everything there and managed to get us up to the speed that we're supposed to be
Yeah.
and helps people to remain independent in their own homes and stuff like that there. And I also then during those sort of last couple of years then I've managed to now manage another service within floating support, housing support, or utility housing support service or in Belfast I also manage as well.
That's a fantastic experience. And as you say, starting up that new service during that time, I'm sure it was a lot. When I started with Cedar, I had a general idea of floating support. Okay, you go about and support people, but that's just was a very basic idea. Would you be able to give us a bit more information about the type of support that the service provides?
Yeah, what we try to do is we basically provide housing support. So we in floating support are there to support people to maintain their tenancy and prevent sort of tenancy breakdown and homelessness. So we are funded by the Housing Executives Support People Program, and we try to offer housing related support in some areas around likes of making sure people have access to the correct benefit entitlements, making sure that they're able to manage their budgets or if they have any debt issues that they need support with, supporting to access sort of social and community networks and groups and clubs and things like that. Support with travel training, so trying to look at options for traveling within their communities and the transport available to them. So it might be buses or providing taxi numbers, things like that. We also look at developing their independent shopping skills. So perhaps people who might struggle to buy their groceries, things like that, we would look at that and try and support them with that. Now, we don't
Mhm.
do the shopping for them, but we try to help them become independent and shopping for themselves.
Yeah.
We would also look at kitchen and food hygiene to make sure that they're safe within their cooking skills are safe and they're able to do those sort of things. And we help them develop those cooking skills. We would also look at the management of their homes, helping them develop skills and routines to maintain their homes so that their homes don't fall into disrepair or into a bad state, so to speak. We would also look at their tenancies, so the rights and responsibilities of their tenancy, maybe understanding their tenancy agreements. We would also look at supporting them to access suitable accommodation. So that would be supporting them to liaise with the housing executive, maybe if they were applying for housing, to help them with that application process, maximising their points, talking to the housing executive on their behalf, just to make things a bit easier for them. We would also look at fire and home safety checks just to make sure they're safe in their own homes. And along that avenue as well, we'll be looking at home safety routines to see about answering the door to strangers, things like that, making sure
Yeah.
that people stay safe within their own homes and things like that. The,
Yeah.
Sometimes people get confused in the idea of where we provide support and how we provide support in that sort of sense. Within the float support services, it can be quite confusing because it's quite a large service. So we provide support we have sort of two services and three services in a way. We have our regional float support service, our older people's float support service, and our housing support service. So me myself, I currently manage the older people services, and they operate in the down areas that we call it. So we cover Lisburn, Downpatrick, and Newton Ards, and all the wee bits in between. And I also manage the Moyle area, which sort of covers, if you imagine looking at a map from Coleraine across the north coast to Cushendun, Cushendall, and we would go as low as money. And the criteria for that service, and because it's an older people service, is it's over 55. There is no other criteria for that service bar being over 55 and living within that area. There's no upper age limit for that service at all either. We also have our regional float and support service then,
Mhm.
which now that's the sort of larger service in a sense. They operate across basically the region of Northern Ireland.
Mhm.
We cover, we have a scheme in Lisburn. We also have one in Belfast. That just covers Lisburn and Lisburn area, and the other one covers Belfast area. We also have the Northern Service, which covers the Northern Trust. We have the
Mhm.
Southern Service, which covers the Southern Trust. And we have the Western Service, which covers the northern sector of the Western Trust. So each of those services, they all have different criteria just based on the funding
Yeah.
and the way supporting people pays us to provide that support. So it's probably best for people who are interested in those services just to basically get in touch with us. And then we can have a chat with them and let them know whether or not to meet those sort of those requirements for those services
Okay.
because it depends on the location and where the service user will live, and I'm not allowed to work that out. The main criteria for those regional services, however, is realistically it's a physical disability or physical health issue, or sensory disability, which covers sort of our hearing loss and visual impairment or brain injury. Now,
Okay.
some of those services do accept learning disabilities, so like a Lisburn, I know, does accept learning disability, and the age for that service is over 18. However, I'd like to make sure people are aware that there's no upper age limit to that regional service. So it's not a service that's 18 to 55 and then an older service
Yeah.
of 55 plus. The regional service is 18 plus. So you don't
Okay.
have to, you could be 101 and
Yeah.
still get onto the service in that sense. No problem. Just to add in there as well, one of the things that we like to tell people is that referrals into our service are slightly different than other services, the disability services that are available. Mostly those disability services need referrals from social workers or something like that. Our service can have referrals from anybody. They can be self-referrals, they can be from a GP, from social worker, from a friend, or if people have difficulty, they can complete the form themselves. And if they have even difficulty doing that, what we would ask is give us a ring and we can complete the referral form with you over the phone to help you get onto the services. There's no harm in doing that. Just give us a wee shout, send us an email, give us a ring. We can always get back in touch with you and try and help you out, get the support that you need when you need it.
Oh, thanks for adding that, Colin. That's brilliant. It's so good to hear that the service is so open and accessible. Thank you. Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks for all that information. That's gonna, I'll definitely make sure to put the contact details in our show notes on the captions for this show. As you say, it's probably best just to get in touch with you and then you can go over what availability there is for the services.
Yeah, but I
And
mean, the best way to contact us is through just the one email address,
perfect.
which is literally fs@cedar-foundation.org.
Fantastic. That's
That's the
brilliant.
easiest
Thanks,
way.
Colin. That's great. And in terms of the support workers, then, whenever they are starting to engage with a service user, I take it then do they create a support plan? And how does that work with the service user then? Do they work together on that? Would you
Yes,
explain that?
so our support workers, they work very hard to ensure that each individual service user gets the support that they need in a person-centered way. And they try their best to ensure that the support is tailored to the individual and, like I say, in a person-centered way. And it's all about the individual and not about other people, maybe other people's input. It's more the service user's input themselves. So realistically, once a service user gets assigned a support worker, the support worker gets in touch with the service user and the person who put in the referral as well to let them know that the person is going to be starting. They'll arrange a time and a date that suits the service user and call out to their home or wherever that service user wishes to meet, where we then sit down, have a wee chat with the service user and complete what we call a needs assessment, which is basically where the support worker asks the service user some questions about the support that I had previously mentioned there. And whether or not they need that support and which support they would like to receive and how best it is for them to receive it. Because I'm sure most people are aware that everybody reacts differently to support or learns differently in different ways. So
Yeah.
it's best for us to find out from the service user themselves what's the best way to support them. So in that way that every support is unique to each individual, as each support worker has different support needs and requires support to be delivered in a way that suits them and works best for them.
Yeah.
So it's very important for us to ascertain what works best for each individual because it helps them progress in achieving their own goals and it helps the support to be provided in the way that they like and keeps that professional relationship there.
Yeah.
So once we get all that sort of information, the support worker would then create a support plan and conduct a risk assessment on those support goals that we're going to do. So once the support worker has done that, they then bring the support plan to the service user themselves, who and then go through that with them and let's see if they'll agree with those goals that we've got in place. And however, if there is anything in that plan that they don't agree with or they want added or took out, then we can change that plan to suit their needs as and when they need to. Our support plans are what we class as a live document, which sort of means that it can be changed at any time throughout the support to suit their needs because during any times of support, things change and basically that if something comes up along the way, we can add that in as a bit of support, or we can take it out if it's no longer relevant to them.
Hmm.
And it's like I say, it's a live document, so it can be changed at any time,
Yeah.
and things can be helped in that sort of sense.
Yeah.
We then try to provide support over the course of it could be anywhere from a few weeks to our maximum time is 2 years. And that, but however, that sort of depends upon the support needs of the individual. So everybody's different and everybody has different time frames on how they'll achieve their goals.
Okay.
We like to do it at a pace that the individual is comfortable with and gets their goals done in an acceptable time frame for themselves as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so during that time as well, the support plans do get reviewed
Hmm.
through the length of time the person's on the service. So those support plans get reviewed every sort of 3 months or so, and that ensures that the plan stays relevant to the service user's needs. And the service user and the support worker work closely together to make sure that they're getting the support they need in a way that works best for them. And that's why we feel it's very important for us to review that on a regular basis. Now, we don't have to review it every 3 months. We can actually review it sooner than that as well. Just so if something happened and this service user wanted their plan reviewed, we can do that at any time. It doesn't have to wait to those 3 months. We can just do it at any time that whatever suits the service user. And then once we've got through the whole plans and we have completed support with the service user and they've done everything and they've completed all their goals, we try to ensure that they're happy with the support they receive.
Right.
And what we would do is once they sort of come off the service and exit, we would complete what we call a follow-up call,
Okay.
which is basically a phone call to the service user roughly about a month after they've completed the support that they've had, and basically to make sure everything's still okay, see if they need more support, and if they do need more support, we can try to give them that wee bit of one-off support at the time. Or if they feel like they're needing further support, they may come back onto the service again. So it's just so that people know that even though you've been on the service and you've completed the support, you can always come back again. There's no limit to the amount of times that you can come back on. You can just come back on the service and get further support as and when you need it. The idea being that you can come back on the service, we will give you further support, but we will only give you the support that you need. We're not just going to give you support that you don't necessarily need. We'll be doing it based on your needs and what it is that you're after in that sort of sense.
Yeah. No, that's amazing in terms of the flexibility, the follow-up, that all attests to the brilliant outcomes that were shown through the impact report there. It's on the
Yeah.
website as well. Just outstanding outcomes and feedback from people. And it really does, it's so valuable in terms of the way you're averting homelessness for people and really allowing people to be, not allowing, but supporting people to be fully engaged and included within the community. That's
Mhm.
it. And as I say, you've been doing it for a while now, so that experience has just really made it very clear in terms of how people can get in contact with us and everything already. So definitely, if you feel it this might be something that might be of use to you, definitely encourage you to get in touch with the team because they're ready here to chat. That's fantastic, Colin. Thank you for coming and speaking to us today. As I said, I'll put all the links and the email address down below in the description. And you really appreciate it. And I know it's going to be a busy time for you over December. We've got a lot of events happening around homelessness. And just to make people aware, I just really appreciate you coming and talking to us about that. So thanks very much. We hope you enjoyed listening. If you would like further information on this or other Cedar services, please visit www.cedar-foundation.org. We can also be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We hope you join us next time for another episode of Cedar Focus.